Motormouth Jenkins here, welcoming you to our brand new YouTube channel. Hope that you'll come back and see every segment each and every week, and I will share preventative maintenance tips and regularly scheduled maintenance tips for your car. So whether you know a little bit about your car or absolutely nothing, this is the channel just for you, where I share over 35 years of experience as a qualified and licensed service technician with truck and coach, light truck and passenger vehicles. Come back and visit us and tell your friends, and we'll see you each and every week right here in the Car Connection Workshop on YouTube. Well, good afternoon, if it's afternoon wherever you are. Welcome to the Car Connection Workshop, friends. I'm glad that you could stop by. We have some really cool stuff coming your way today. And just thinking this past week, the number of vehicles that I'm working on, each individual vehicle has a story. Well, I'm your host, Niall Motormouth Jenkins, always here in the Car Connection Workshop. And Skippy, we don't know where he is. He's here somewhere. He's always monkeying around, pulling little zingers on us. But if you spot Skippy, let us know. He's about this high. He's kind of red. He's not related. It's just so you know, he's not related. But anyways, we have a special treat for you today, a vehicle that I have owned since 1995, and it is a barn find, and I'll tell you why. Because when I ended up owning this particular vehicle, it was not a good time in my world at that point in life. Life was very busy. I had some medical issues. I owned the automotive shop at that time, working 14 to 18-hour days. And I ended up with this particular car, and when I didn't not want it, and I really didn't need it, and I cleaned it, and I stuffed it in a barn in a little town called Fisherville, Ontario. And behind this particular car, I put my best friend, I call him my best friend, Mo, and you'll get to meet Mo. Mo has all been gone through. He's back on the road, and I got to drive him last summer for a little while, and you'll get to meet Mo. And he's a special little truck that I bought when I was in my early 20s, and there's only he's one of 500 of its kind. So that's for another video. But today, we brought this vehicle out of the barn to the shop, and it's now in the shop. And let me tell you, I took the rat's nests and all that stuff out already. But let's do a little walk around. You're going to meet what I call the fire chicken. And we're going to get it running today for the very first time since 1995. That's 30 years ago. So you're all going well before I do any work to this particular vehicle, and I'll tell you a little bit of history behind it. Was back then, this car came into me, the engine was blown. It was blown up real good. It had steel belts hanging out of the tires. It had no brakes on the front or the back. It was in bad shape, really bad shape. I've done some work on the inside already because the seats were totally destroyed. The car's cleaned up. I've been working on the T-roof, but it has not been running. So before I really get into this car, I just lifted it up yesterday, had a good look underneath to see what I'm into, because what I ended up doing with this car, I put the motor in, you're going to see. I did the tires, I did the brakes, front and rear, I did emergency brakes, and all that stuff is going to have to be redone. It's been 30 years that this car has been, since I drove it last. I drove this car into the barn in Fisherville in 1995. It was October 1995. So we're going to bring it back to life and do all the mechanicals and everything. But first and foremost, I want to hear the engine running before I go any further on this particular car. And what we do with it when we're done, well, we'll figure it out as we go. So come along for the ride today. Let's open the horsepower barn and let's see if that motor I installed in this car in 1995 runs, you're going to see it first. And then from there, once we know the motor runs and it's healthy, is the day I put it in. Then we go forward and we go through the entire car, and I'm going to bring you along with me. So stay tuned. We got a busy day. We're going to open the powerhouse here. So far, so good. That works. Exciting. So we got a drop of battery in there. I got an old clunker battery there that'll be good enough for us to get it to crank over. I've dropped the. I changed the shocks on this hood as well. Those were new. They still look good and they're working well. I took a really bad hood liner out of here. It was kind of jammed down in here as a great big nest. It was filthy in here. So I blew it all off. I power washed it. That's all I've done. I just power washed it, and I dropped the oil out of it overnight, so it's been draining overnight. And I kind of laughed when I took the oil filter off, because I put that oil filter on there 30 years ago. And it was so kind of weak that when I put my oil filter wrench on it, it kind of crushed it in. So anyways, I went to my trusty parts shelf, and I found a genuine AC Delco oil filter, and this filter is 30 years old, and it's brand new. So I'm going to teach you just a quick lesson about oil filters. That if you're in a hurry and you want to figure out whether or not an oil filter is going to fit your car, here's how you measure them. And an old gentleman taught me this. That's 1 knuckle, 2 knuckles. So is it a 1 knuckle or a 2 knuckle? It's a 2 knuckle. That's what this car takes, is a 2 knuckle filter. And the big gasket. You can pretty much call it on almost any car. Is if you take the old filter off and stick your finger in, is it a 1 knuckle or a 2 knuckle? And how big's the gasket? So you just need to know whether it's a large or whether it's a small. And it pretty much works every time. So we're going to put a new filter on, and we're going to put some oil back in this car, and then we're going to put in a battery, and we're going to wind her up. I put some fluid in the cylinders already. The engine, I know, is not stuck. So that's a bonus, but we're going to see if we can get this thing lit up. And I don't need to drive it 1,600 miles either. It's where it's going to be till we finish it. So if it runs, then we're going to get after it and start fixing stuff that I already replaced 30 years ago. So yeah, this car, the Fire Chicken, has been sitting in a barn in a little town called Fisherville. I lived there. And was leaving there to head up to a little place called New Dundee, Ontario, to live and to work for a major car manufacturer. And I couldn't take this car with me. I had nowhere to put it, so I left it in the barn in Fisherville for 30 years. I know, sad. But it doesn't look too bad, but all the stuff that I did to it, all the brakes, they all need to be gone through, and everything that I replaced. So the motor's good, we're halfway there. The rest we can take care of. But I put this motor in. I can't believe it, 30 years ago. I did this, all of it. Pulled the dead motor out and put this in. So let's get started. All right, I'm just going to put some cloths on because I don't want to I don't want to damage this car, because it is a pretty car when the T-roofs are on and it's all back together. It's a pretty car, that's for sure. So the Fire Chicken hopefully will live to see another day. All right. I like to cover stuff up because you know why? I'm going to give you a little secret, because when people stop by, they do this. Oh, look at how dusty it is. Scratches everywhere. So I cover the stuff up because dust even for the equipment in the shop and my toolbox and all that stuff, dust is just, it is a killer of everything. All your lawn and garden equipment, if you can cover it up and keep the dust out of it, you are ahead of the game. So I'm going to go down underneath. I'm going to get my creeper out. I'm going to go down underneath, put the oil drain plug back in. I'm going to put a new gasket on there. And I have fender covers, but they don't stay very well on this type of fender because the fender has no big edge to it. So fender covers don't work very well. They fall off more than they stay on. So I'm going to zip underneath there, get the oil drain plug, and we're going to get a new gasket on there. And then we'll put the oil drain plug back in. It's dark down here. Like really? Like really dark. How dark is it? Hello? Is there anybody there? Make sure you put a new gasket on your drain plug. I say that because, you know what? I can't tell you the number of times I've been chasing an oil leak on a car and it comes down to the drain plug is totally not there anymore. So the gasket is gone. So definitely put a new gasket on there, would you? They're not worth $1 million. I keep them in stock. And there's just a little tiny copper ring on there. We're going to get that off in a second. I like to use the fibrous ones myself, but it's preference. It's what it is. You know, some people like tomatoes and some people don't. It's okay. It's all right. I have Italian friends. They don't like tomatoes. I can't figure that one out, but just the same. So I'm just going to get this old copper gasket off without cutting myself, hopefully. And we'll put a new gasket on there. We'll be in good shape. That's what they say. So stick with us. Will it run? That's what we're going to find out. And we're going to do it together. These ones are a little bit tougher to get off, so I have a secondary method. That's why you got to have lots of tools. You know what's great is when you can reach into your toolbox and you can actually get something to help you get the job done. Nothing worse than not having the tools to get the job done and get it done right. So I usually cut these because they're a crushing gasket. And a lot of times it gets left on there and then somebody will put a fibrous gasket on top of it and you end up with a leaker. So check the drain plug. Change the gasket. Yeah, these are a little tough to get off. I got these off topic. I picked these up at the Princess Palace parts store. They're to organize your pliers. Like, look at this drawer. It's like chaos. But it's organized chaos. All the pinchy things are over there. All the clampy things are over here. But these are plier thingies that you put your pliers into the slots. So when I get that far, I'll let you know how that works out. I'm hoping it sorts that drawer out because it needs a little bit of something. Okay, so once you cut that, watch what happens. You can get it off. And there it is. Look how brittle it is. Just brutal. So, you know, it's a little thing, but like I said, I can tell you how many times I did oil changes and the oil drain plug is leaking. And it's been leaking for a while. Because somebody is neglected to not change something as simple as the gasket. And I know who put this one on there. Me. It's been on there for 30 years. I can't believe that. I keep saying that, and you'll probably say, how many times are you going to say that? It's hard to believe. 30 years. 3 decades. And here I am, changing the oil. 30 years later. It's crazy. It's crazy. But every single one of the vehicles that's here in the shop has its own story. And keep coming back to visit us because there's always something to do here in the Car Connection workshop. And we get it done. Just get it done. Same with this oil pan. It has a story. And you're going to get to hear the story as we continue to build and work on the engine for the TJ 97 TJ Wrangler. I rescued it from the crusher, and we're bringing it back to life. So here we go, brand new gasket. I know that's the correct gasket for this. And we'll put the drain plug back in and put some oil in, shove a battery in, see if we get some life out of it and get some crankage going. And then we'll get this baby to fire up. And I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it, because then, you know, life got busy when I had to put this away. Have you ever been there where life just kind of gets crazy busy? I got to go with the other gasket, the one that's just a hair bit bigger. Unless that one was on there in the wrong bag. It can happen. You know, Skippy, he's quite a character. When you get a chance to meet him, you'll see what I mean. He's quite a character. I don't know what we pay him all that money for, though. Maybe he buys bananas with it. Yeah, we need the other gasket. The other gasket. So, all going well. You're along for the adventure today here in the Car Connection workshop. And this is what you need. You need a box. If you're working on a lot of stuff, you need a box. There it is. That's the other Chevrolet gasket. This should be correct. We'll see. That's the cot for dolly, they say, but I like it to fit a little tighter, personally. That's way too big. It's not that one. It's not that one. But having the correct gasket is always... Oh, that's the one. That's the cot for dolly. That's what they say. Here we go. It's 2101. You say, why do you have so many gaskets? Well, everything takes a gasket. Some of them take copper, like this. Some of them take a plastic one, like this. Some take a short drain plug, like this. You got to be ready. Some of them have a stripped oil pan plug. So this is a oil pan plug fixer-upper. See how it's got a cut in it, cross cut, and it's tapered. This will rethread it and fix the problem. All at the same time. Who knew? Okay, here we go. You ready? You ready to say ta-da? Ta-da! That's the correct one. There's two different styles. This has the, it's just been too long. We're just getting reacquainted. It's been 30 years since I manhandled that drain plug. 30 years. But you know what? If you really want to do something, you can get it done. All right, we're going to go under there and put that in. So while I'm down there, I'm going to put the oil filter on. And I'm going to talk about this for a minute, because there seems to be a ton of controversy out there when it comes to, well, I don't think I need to prime the filter. Why do I need to prime the filter? Well, I'm going to tell you a story, seeing as how I'm fully licensed and qualified light truck and passenger vehicle tech, and also truck and coach. I worked for Mack Trucks and I worked for Peterbilt. And let me tell you something. You do not put any filter on any rig anywhere without priming it, whether it's oil, whether it's fuel, whether it's a coolant filter. You prime all the filters. And if you don't believe me, then I would ask you and challenge you, talk to a truck driver that does his own services and ask him if he primes his filters before he puts them on. Because that's how you wreck an engine very quickly, especially a diesel. So even whether I'm working on our 07 FJ, which the filter faces upside down, I always put some oil in to wet out the fibers in the filter, so that when that engine starts, I don't have a dry start. I don't care if I drip a little bit of oil out. My filters go on primed, just like I'm working on a highway truck where the engine is worth the price of some people's houses. Well, maybe not today. Maybe 20 years ago. So that filter is primed. When this engine fires, I want it to have oil pressure just like that. We can still put a little bit more in there. So whether the filter faces this way, upside down, or straight up, I prime my filters. I hope you get that. So whoever it is out there that says, oh, you don't prime your filter, that's okay, because that's their motor. This is my motor. And I prime my filters on everything that takes a filter for a fluid. I prime it. Period. Because it avoids ruining the mechanical components that the lubrication protects. So I'm going under. Cover me, I'm going in. And I'm going to need my ratchet. This is one of my favorite ratchets. Here, zoom in on this. It's American made. It's called a super ratchet. It's vintage. This one. It's American made by Williams. I imagine not many people have one of these, but when you work on trucks, you get bigger. You have bigger equipment. Because of trucks, I like working on trucks, big trucks. I find they're a lot of fun. They're very interesting. But if we adapt our service the same as you do to a highway truck, tell you what, they would last a lot longer, because having to buy a new highway truck is a lot of money, even just for the motors. They're expensive. Okay, so this oil and that oil filter have been on this car 30 years. So you want to take a little picture of that. I did this oil change on this motor before I put it in 30 years ago. That's crazy to think about it, but it's true. I put that filter on off my shelf, and you can see the car's been sitting in the barn and the filter is rotting out. I tried to get it off. I got it off without a lot of trouble, but it caved in very, very easily. Very easily, I might add. And I was beginning to wonder if I was going to be able to get it off without having to cut it off. And it started to come loose. Then once it broke free, it was happy day, let me tell you. Happy day. Because it can be a bear when you can't get the filter off. You can be into a project on its own. So I was very happy that came off. So we're going to put a little torque on that. And you know what I do need is I need that cloth up there. Thank you very much. Thank you to my lovely assistant. Thank you, lovely assistant. Can you make me a burger and drop that off? Maybe? Okay, maybe that's a bit too much. And always check and make sure that you didn't leave your gasket from your old filter. Number one, look at your old filter and make sure that the gasket came off with it, because I've seen that as a problem. Then you fire it up and the gasket blows out and the oil goes everywhere. So I just reacquaintance myself with this oil filter housing. Hello. I haven't seen you for a long time. Long time. Yeah, I put spark plugs in this motor. I painted it. I did everything to this motor before it went in. And I remember it well. I really do. It came in, I remember the car showing up, I'll tell you. The engine was hammering so loud, I heard it coming. They drove it. They drove it to my shop, and I heard the thing come in the parking lot. And my goodness, it was a train wreck. That motor was done. And you know what killed it? I'm going to tell you. What killed that engine was not checking the oil and not topping it up. Not making sure that the oil level was good. Blew the motor up. And the sad part is, that same person did it to two cars of the same brand. Blew up two motors. Not checking the oil, not changing it. So, is there a lesson in that for all of us? Absolutely. Absolutely there is. Okay, you furry varmints, you're in for it now because I'm coming out. Okay, we got to put some oil in, and then I'm going to put a battery in, and we're going to see if this baby's going to fire. What do you think? You think it's going to run? I think it's going to run. I'm going to be positive and say it's going to run. I'm going to stick on the positive side. Okay, put my crib away here. We may need that again. Don't step in the oil bucket. I've done that before. It's messy. Okay, let's get some motor oil in here. Wow, that's pretty dry. Yeah. Alrighty. This car's gonna be excited. It's getting a fresh beverage. We're using nothing but the finest, and it's 5W30 is the flavor on this one. Man, it's crazy. Every time I think about this, I've been under this hood for 3 decades, and we are possibly gonna hear this thing run today. Yeah, it's enjoying all the minerals and vitamins and dinosaurs and everything going down into this motor. Have a good gulp. We need you to feel good. We're giving you your special flavor. 5W30. Yep, squeezed it myself this morning from the Earth's crust. Well, maybe not. Yeah. I'm excited. We'll see what happens. But I know I put brand new plugs in here. Brand new plug wires from AC Delco. I did everything to this thing. I mean, I really went through it. Big time. Fluids, filters, belts, hoses, hose clamps. New battery. Well, battery did not survive. I don't know why. They're just not making them last 3 decades. I don't know why. So I didn't buy a brand new battery. I got a battery that I think will at least help us to get an idea of what's going to run. How is it going to run? Take it from there. And we see how it goes. One step at a time. So the oil's in. Has anybody seen Skippy today? I wonder if he can wrestle up one of those donuts with little chocolate sprinkles on and a nice hot cup of coffee. That'd be nice. That'd be nice, but I don't think he's around. I think he's flown the coop. All right, so let's deal with this. We've dealt with that. Now we're going to, I'm going to get a battery not fastened in, but clamp it in here to the cables. Oh, they look not too bad, but we'll clean them up a little bit. You ever seen this? This is a side battery terminal cleaner thingy. Yeah. I'm really not a fan of the side battery terminal batteries. It's like, no. Can we have a top post battery? So the wire brush end has a hole in the center, so it goes through here, cleans this. I'll change these bolts later and put some new ones in. But I just want to make sure we've got a good positive connection. I probably have to use the battery charger to give us a little extra boost. And we'll put a little bit of fresh fuel in it. There might be some power in this battery. Like I said, it's not a fabulous battery, but it'll at least give us a conduit to get some power through and to the vehicle. So that's the whole idea. Like I said, once you know it runs, then you know where you're heading at that point. But until it runs, you really shouldn't put a lot of money into it until you know it does run. So let's get this up there. It's got a go handle on it, which helps. But I am not a fan of the side post battery. I have batteries around here for everything, but not side post. I just don't. But then I should say, Restoration has a side post battery in it too. It's true. Yeah, and that one's buried in that car. You'll get to see that next. We've got a segment to do on that as well. And for some of you might say, well, when are you going to start and finish? I said to everybody, I like to bounce around. I'll do a bunch of stuff on one car until I don't have any parts. And then I'll jump on to another one that I have a series of parts so we can finish a bunch of things and get it done. You seen one of these? It's a side post battery terminal ratchet. Really cool. So once I know this engine runs, then I will go through and redo the brakes. And we're going to put exhaust on it, but I won't do that till the very end. Once everything else is done. I've got T-top seals that have to go on. You know, T-tops are nice, but you know what? They are high maintenance. I went through this on restoration. It was a 78 anniversary Corvette. I redid the whole thing. Refurbished the T-tops, all the seals, all the mechanisms, all the latch downs. And I've never done those before. It was quite a treat, but I did it, and now I know how to do it. This car, same thing. I'm redoing the T-tops because that's the biggest problem with the T-top cars. They leak. And if you don't stay on top of it, there will be a lot of damage. And some of it is just not fixable. If it goes too far, you're out of luck. You're out of luck. It's going to cost more than the car's worth to fix it, unless you can do it all yourself. So I've got all the T-roofs apart here. I got to do seals. The seal kit's like $900. Let's see if we have a little power. Little. Yep, so we're going to have to boost through there. So let me get ready with this. I think I'm going to need, I'm a little vertically challenged. Can you say that? I will. My arms aren't long enough, and I got to get that air breather off. So let's throw a little charge through this battery. Like I said, I'm not even going to invest in a battery for it till I know it runs and it runs well. And you know, back when I ended up with this car, I wanted to sell it, and I'll tell you, they were worth nothing 30 years ago. Nothing. For the amount of money that I had into this car, I couldn't even get it out. I couldn't get the money out. So that's the other thing that just made me decide, you know what, I'm just going to throw it in the barn somewhere and leave it there. And you couldn't get any money for it. I couldn't get what was on the bill for this car, so I stuffed it in a barn. And I said, someday. But it's not today. That's what I said. It's not today. Life was going on, and things were crazy with the automotive shop at that time that we had. Crazy busy. So it got left behind. And then I closed the shop down due to health reasons and got out of Dodge. And then one day I thought, I wonder if that car is still in the barn. I wonder if it's still there. I'll tell you, I never went back to look for 30 years. I never went back. There was a fire chicken in there, and Mo was behind it. And the last time I saw it was that October day. I drove them both in there, closed the doors, put a padlock on, and left for New Dundee, Ontario. That was it. And here it is. So, and I'm happy because something's getting done. Something is getting done. Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a mess here. I just rebuilt a couple of chainsaws. I'm on the stool. Is it the naughty stool? My mom was here, she'd say, he's been on the naughty stool before. Yes, I have. All right. And you know, I remember the day I went in there, into the barn, and put this car away. And it was dark in there, man. And I dropped this. And it went clunk, clunk, clunk. And I couldn't find it. Well, the day it got dragged out of there and onto a flatbed truck, the car came out, and there it was on the ground. The wing nut. I went to school with some wing nuts. I wonder how they ever made it in life. You ever wonder that? I've never gone to. You ever gone to like what do they call these things? A reunion? A reunion? I've been invited many times, but you know what? I got to be honest. I really didn't enjoy school. It kind of sucked with a K. I got to say it. Okay, we got anything going on here? Well, the plunger's going, so we're not stuck. Secondaries work. Everybody seems to be happy. Are you happy? I'm your daddy. Remember me? All right, we need a little love juice. Let's see if we can get a little crank first, and then I'll add a little flavor. I'm just going to stick this under there before one of us, not saying who, steps back to enjoy the view and puts her foot right into the oil pan. Just saying. You got nothing happening? Okay, we might have a ground issue. It's a possibility. Let's turn this off for a minute. Let's move the ground around a little bit. I don't think we have a really good one. All right. I like to usually go to the block, but that should probably be taken off and refresh that. Refresh the ground. Let's see if I can get a little something from here. I'm hoping. Cross your fingers. Cross everything you can. We need it all here. We need everything crossed. Let's go on to boost. See if I can get a little click, click. If not, I don't know where we go from there. We go and try and see if we can borrow a battery. Maybe the neighbor has a cup of battery somewhere. Well, well, something's going on. We can give it a minute or two. Let's see if we can get some juice into that battery. I have nothing but top post batteries here. So, yeah. We'll wait and see. See if we can get some potion on this baby. Love potion number 8.5. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, this car's got some history. If it could only speak. I want it to. I want it to speak. But I want to make sure we get some crankage. I did crank the engine by the crankshaft underneath, and it does turn. It turns pretty good, actually. Yeah. And the car's been inside. I did change the fuel pump out. It was leaking all over. So let's get a little bit of gasoline in there. I'll see if I can borrow can I borrow a cup of gas? I'll go over to the neighbor. Can I borrow a cup of gas? Probably say just that. Go. Alrighty then. Thanks for being neighborly. See if that works sometime. Go to your neighbor and say, can I borrow a cup of gas? Good luck. Always be neighborly. Neighbor. Who's your neighbor? There we go. Don't ask me about that. I don't know. Woodpecker? Where'd the key thing go? I don't know. I have no idea. It was there. That's all I can tell you. Doesn't smell too bad either, to be honest. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. Especially, how many of you will enjoy some of these new gas cans? Yeah. This one here, I fixed it with a pair of pliers, let me tell you. Yeah, it's a great concept, some of these new fuel cans. Alright, you gotta push the thingy in, unlock the doodad, and hang on to the jug and the funnel all at the same time. I'm going, this is a freaking circus, not a fuel can. So yeah, with a pair of pliers, and I watched a guy on YouTube. He said, if you have one of these, here's how you fix it. I fixed it. I sure did. So let's give it a little bit of a fresh beverage and see what we come up with. Like I said, if you're working on something or you pick something up or you've put a vehicle away, I would never do this again. I just want to say that I would never just throw a vehicle somewhere and just leave it alone. I'm going to have to do a lot of extra work that it's unnecessarily required now because it sat so long. Everything that I did to it, all the brake work and everything, is all for naught. So I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. If you're putting a vehicle away, and even if you, in your mind's eye, you're saying, oh, it's only for a couple of months, no, it won't. It's going away for quite a while. So prepare it properly. And I have a video up on our YouTube channel with some pointers on how to put something away properly and take the time to do it. It's worth it. It is worth it. Like I said, I have cleaned this vehicle out. I had to. Before I even wanted it in the shop, I had to clean this car out. It had rat's nests. It had bees' nests. It had every rodent with two beady little eyes known to mankind. But I didn't see any serious damage other than, you know, they eat the seats, they do all that. They didn't get into too much, but under the hood, it was rough. It was rough under the hood. Because something got in there and built a ginormous nest out of leaves and straw and sticks. And I'm in under the hood digging it out with 2 hands and gloves and a mask. It was bad in the engine bay. It was really bad. So again, if you're putting something away and your intentions are it's only going to be for a little while, here's what I would tell you. Prepare it that it's going to be put away for 30 years. Because maybe it is. You just don't know. When I drove this into the barn in Fisherville that day, that October day, I did not know, and I did not live here in this place, that it would be arriving here after 3 decades on the back of a flatbed truck. Let's see if we can get a little crankage. That battery might not give us what we need today. Maybe not. Not sounding like it's gonna. We'll give it a little bit of time and see what happens. Because I don't have anything that I can convert into a side post at the moment. We're going to take a timeout, and I'm going to do some battery switcheroonie and see what I can come up with so we can get this thing cranking over. So don't go away. We'll see you right back here in the engine bay of this 1986, I want to say it's 1986 Fire Chicken. We'll see you in just a few moments. Stay with us.